So there I was, right? Writing the script for my next Legends video. It's going to be great, by the way. I think y'all will really like it. And then I get sent this video. The official trailer for HBO's Velma. Now, I already said my piece about the original teaser trailer for Velma some time ago, but I'd gotten comments and messages from people telling me that I was being racist or bigoted and the show could still be good. You don't know. You're just intolerant. Well, I decided to watch the trailer. And after watching it, I think I'd like y'all to watch it with me. Let's see if this show looks good at all. Spoiler alert, it doesn't.
This is my story told my way. Jeez.
Oh, ooh, right, yeah. Okay, so two things before we get started. One, in the background of this video, you will hear copyrighted music playing, so this video won't be monetized. I'd really appreciate y'all considering supporting the channel by hitting up my Teespring store or Patreon. That would mean a lot to me. Second, I'm not sure if I brought this up before, but naming your show Velma and opening with "This is my story told my way," isn't that a little narcissistic towards Velma? I mean, isn't this about the whole Scooby-Doo gang? Sure, the original show was also called Scooby-Doo as well, but he was also the mascot of the show? It was clear that the story wasn't just about Scooby, you know, but whatever, let's get on with it.
My name is Velma Dinkley, and I've decided to finally share the bone-chilling events that drove me to assemble the greatest team of spooky mystery solvers ever. This is my story, told my way.
Again, this feels wrong. I mean, this is supposed to be an origin story from the perspective of Velma, right? Teaching us about how Mystery Inc. was founded. So shouldn't she say, "This is our story told my way"? Again, this narcissism is on display. Velma isn't coming off as the sweet, nerdy girl with a lot of knowledge and a lack of social skills. She's coming off as an arrogant know-it-all with an attitude. That usually doesn't go very well.
She has no brain! I'm not dissing her. She has no brain! And it starts with a murder.
So apparently, the show is going to have kind of a self-aware humor style to it. Kind of like fourth wall break jokes. Like the show is trying to be very aware of itself. I guess I just don't find that very funny. I think in this case, it's a tone problem. This is the first time that we've seen actual dead bodies in a Scooby-Doo related cartoon. And this should be shocking and disturbing, but instead we're making a crack about the dead body, a joke. Considering this dead body is probably the central focus of the show, shouldn't this have more weight to it? I mean, look, show, you're not Family Guy. Stop trying to be.
If I can't convince people I didn't kill Brenda, I'm going to be arrested.
I know, but I also know how to find out who did kill Brenda. I think it has something to do with drugs, which I hate.
I'm sorry that joke was so weak, I felt the need to remind you they were trying to make you laugh. Oh, ha ha ha, he's Shaggy, who was modeled to talk and appear like a classic stoner. The joke is, we're supposed to think he'll be a stoner, but he's not. Ha 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 ha. You know, if this is your level of comedy, you know, nodding and winking at the audience every time you point out a self-aware moment, you are going to require an actual laugh track like the original show, just to remind us when you're trying to be funny. Because I'm pretty sure some people would have just glossed over that, not realizing you were making a joke, if you didn't literally pause the show and wink at the audience to let us know. Oh, by the way, joking. Moving on.
Hey, Fred.
Do I know you?
It's Velma from school.
I have a disease where I can't recognize people who aren't hot.
Is it called rudeness?
I have an illness!
Fred is a jackass jock. Why is Fred a jackass jock? In the original, Fred was a compassionate and resourceful leader, not a dick. And also, that I have an illness part, I have heard rumors that they've made Fred impotent or something in this show to further mock him. And I just don't understand the Fred hate. I always liked Fred. Why we gotta hate Fred? Oh, and while we're on this shot, if you wanted to make your high school look like a rundown piece of crap that no self-respecting family would ever want to send their kid to, great job. This school looks absolutely awful.
Hey, Daphne. I need a favor.
Why would I do that? We're not friends anymore. We're nemesises.
Nemesis.
And that's why.
I was going to say something about Daphne there, but let's wait on that. Let's take a moment to just appreciate what we're looking at right now. I get it, HBO. I really do. You want your diversity quota. You want your inclusion. You want your representation. You made that very clear from the beginning. But what is this? Do you not think this is embarrassingly inappropriate? I mean, you want to show gay guys, but you can't just show two guys holding hands or maybe even kissing, but straight up tonguing while walking to class. The only way you feel you can show homosexuals, therefore, is by having them being lewd and openly inappropriate in a public setting. I mean, I guarantee you won't even give these two students names. And I guarantee you only added them for the shock humor and to say, look, we added gays. Is this not disgusting to you? Is this not pandering? Is this not pushing to a humiliating level? Are you not mocking homosexuality by calling it shock value? You're just basically saying, look, haha, these two guys are tonguing. Isn't that funny? I don't know. I'm not gay, but if I was, I'd feel a little offended that you think the only way you can represent me is by showing two guys being raunchy in public. Now, with that said, back to Daphne. Apparently Daphne's supposed to be stupid or kind of a bimbo in this show. I don't know. Isn't that a disservice to her? I mean, sure, she was always supposed to be the pretty one, but she wasn't dumb either. She was down to earth, charming, able to find clues as well as anyone else. Why is she portrayed as a bitch? I don't get it. I don't get this.
Attention! For all you wondering why the police have not yet caught the serial killer, it's because it's a ghost.
Jinkies!
Maybe it's one of those doors where you push in a brick and it opens.
Fred, wait!
I have a plan.
I love danger.
This music is so grating. Okay, so even the ghost aspect of this show is kind of a joke. Like they fished a joke out of the water. Okay, look, I get it. In the original show, the monsters were always people in masks, so there wasn't ever any real threat. But they still took the threat seriously at the beginning of the show. Like they were supposed to be intimidating until we realized who they were, or until we caught them in a trap. You know, we were supposed to recognize these are dangerous things. The illusion was that their fear became our fear. The gang still ran from them, you know? What's with all this over-the-top stuff, too? Like that kid jumping out a window. Again, stop trying to be Family Guy. You're being over-the-top for the sake of being over-the-top, and I don't get it. It's not funny. Yeah, guys, are you laughing at this? Let me know in the comments if any of you laughed at any part of this.
More success with this if you went in just a little less judgy.
Okay, Daphne, I'm the brains of this operation. You're just the look, style, and effortless charm.
We do make a good team, don't we?
Ironic. These 3 lines of dialogue actually display perfectly the ultimate problem I have with the show. It's beautiful. Here, I'll explain. Daphne tells Velma she might get further in her efforts if she was a little less judgy. And how does Velma, in her infinite wisdom, reply? By being completely judgy, saying that I'm the brains of this operation, while Daphne is just the materialistic stereotype bimbo with natural charm but little else. You know, deprecating Daphne while lifting herself up. It's narcissism at its best, for one thing, making me hate Velma even more, but it's also a bit twisted. We should be able to see the positive traits in these characters that make them either suited for solving mysteries or at least allow them to be friends with each other. But what are the positive traits in these characters? So far, Fred is a jerk, Daphne's a bimbo, Velma's a bitch, and we don't know anything about Norville or Shaggy or whatever you want to call him. I mean, remember how in the first trailer we saw Velma said that she was 3-dimensional? How is she anything but a 1-dimensional bitch? Velma is smarter than everyone else, more aware than everyone else, and allowed to be more judgy than everyone else. You'd think that would make people hate her, but Daphne agrees, saying, we do make a good team. So she accepts these insults to her character, laying her out to be a 1-dimensional bimbo compared to Velma. How sad is that? Think about it, guys. How sad is that? This is the state of the show. You're not showing the formation of a team. There is no chemistry between these characters. There's no areas for Velma to grow or improve herself, and there's nothing she needs from Norville, Daphne, or Fred. They all exist to be punching bags and self-aware jokes. This is sad. I'm not even lying to you guys. This is very depressing watching this. These are just caricatures. These are poorly done caricatures of what some 12-year-old thinks these characters should be. Not even what they were. What they should be. Who's writing this? Oh my goodness. You know, in the last video, I made a reference to her looking like Meg Griffin, and now you're going to make me compare her to Amethyst from Steven Universe? Show, do you want me to hate this girl even more? Oh, and they're both apparently lesbian now, apparently. Yeah, no. Daphne was always thirsty for Fred's jock, and we know it. And after those two spent the first part of this trailer bitching at each other, I have trouble believing they have any chemistry. You are once again doing this for inclusion purposes. Very petty reasoning.
In this day and age, you can't speculate about someone's sexuality unless they're famous or Peppermint Patty.
Of course, we can't speculate about sexuality in the show. We are unable to. You're going to show two guys tonguing down the hallway to make sure there's no room for doubt about the sexuality of characters. You are as subtle as a train wreck.
The rules feel a bit muddy.
Muddy? Oh, sorry I'm not a drunk on the verge of losing custody like every other woman solving murders these days.
What? Was that even a joke? What are you referencing? Is that a reference to some other show? I don't know. Are you... You know, at least Family Guy references tended to make sense.
All our classmates are idiots, so let's assume they're high.
You know what 420 is, right?
Yeah. It's code for adults who still watch cartoons.
Every joke you tell kills comedy. You know that, right? With each punchline you fail to connect, a comedian somewhere dies. This is horrible. After seeing this trailer, I'm forced to ask three very simple questions. Number one, who was this made for? Like, clearly this wasn't made for children with all the references to drugs, to murder, and open tonguing of homosexual teens. This probably wasn't made for adults either, as you are mocking adults at the end there for even watching cartoons, and the animation and presentation looks way too cartoonish and goofy for that, while also not having any real adult humor in it. Ironically, the only people this could appeal to are stoners, because they'd be too high to care about the stupidity. It also can't be for original Scooby-Doo fans because you mock the old fans in your teaser trailer for daring to care about consistency and keeping characters the way they're meant to be. Who is this supposed to appeal to? Who would you want to watch this? Clearly only people who are stoned would like this show because they'll be too high to care. Number two, second question. What's supposed to be funny about any of this? This is supposed to be a comedy, right? Well, every joke fails on impact. The comedy revolves around fourth wall breaks and self-aware winks to the audience akin to Family Guy or Deadpool, where the characters portray referential moments to try and spark familiarity. This is certainly different from the original Scooby-Doo, which was often more slapstick, wordplay, or gag comedy. While childish, it knew its audience. But with this, the kind of comedy isn't going to make adults laugh, but the content is all adult-oriented. For example, Norville saying, "I think this case has to do with drugs," which I hate, and then staring directly at the camera to indicate this is a referential joke to the fact that I'm Shaggy, and Shaggy was portrayed as a stoner. But the problem is that kind of humor is so childish, only a kid would find it funny. But the subject matter of the joke is meant to be more adult-focused. So what the hell is funny about any of this? Who would laugh at this? And number three, the biggest question out of all three, why is this about the Scooby-Doo gang? Not only is Scooby-Doo, the dog, not part of this, which feels like a true injustice, but none of the characters feel represented even partially the way they're meant to be. Velma isn't a sweet and compassionate nerdy girl with a slew of knowledge but a lacking of social skills that she relies on the others for help on. She's a stuck-up bitch who is unpopular for being a stuck-up bitch but uses her stuck-up bitch nature to try and rally people to her side. Daphne isn't the pretty but well-meaning girl with a level head, a desire to see justice done, and a fondness for the spotlight. She's a bimbo with more looks than sense, and that's all we're allowed to see of her. Fred isn't the strong, resolved, reliable, and clever team leader. He's a literal jock asshole who talks down to Velma because she's not hot or popular and stupidly walked into traps like the brick wall thing we saw. And Norville, or Shaggy, whatever you want to call him, he's not food obsessed, he's not a coward, and you didn't even have the guts to make him a stoner. He's just a black man wearing Shaggy's clothes. He doesn't talk like Shaggy, he doesn't act like Shaggy, and he doesn't even have Scooby-Doo to work off of. These characters have nothing to do with the original Mystery Inc. And the irony here is there are 2 movies already out, Scooby-Doo The Mystery Begins and Scoob, all of which tell different origin stories for the original Scooby Gang, and there's even a show called A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which does something similar, more cartoonish and goofy and meant for kids, but still it tells an origin story, all of which have their own take on the origins of Scooby-Doo. They're all silly at times, and all of them definitely have their flaws, and which one you prefer is very much up to you, but the charm is still in all of them. The characters all portray flaws and errors, but at least they have traits about them that connect them to their counterparts. We see how they're bound together, how each of the team matters to the other. It wasn't just the story of Scooby or Velma, but of a team of friends from different backgrounds, all of whom decide to join up and find the one piece. Solve mysteries. I got a little caught up in better content than this. To be perfectly frank, there's nothing wrong with the idea of this. Have new characters in a modern context, adopt the Mystery Inc. label, a new generation of mystery solvers, as it were, make them whatever race or sexual identity you want. I don't care, you can do that. But don't stand there and tell me that these characters are the same ones I loved growing up. HBO, you ruined Velma. You ruined Daphne. You ruined Fred, and you've ruined Shaggy or Norville. I don't care what you call him. He's not Shaggy, and thank God you didn't get Scooby-Doo involved in this. You'd probably have redefined him as a cat or something. And you would have gotten away with it too, if it hadn't been for this meddling raven, and his lark too. Ooh, that actually rhymed. I've got a headache. Anyway, guys, I'm done with this. If you guys want to hate me in the comment section for coming after this again, go right ahead, but I had to say this. And like I said, because of that music in the background, this video will most likely not be monetized. So, again, I urge you to support the channel by donating on Patreon or going to the Teespring store or just watching the ads whenever they come up on a video. It would really help me out. Thank you guys so much. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care.